Most people believe that passing away in your sleep is the ultimate peaceful exit, but what is happening inside the body is a silent, high-stakes drama that families never understand until it is far too late. After the age of 70, your bedroom becomes a microscopic battlefield where your heart and lungs are fighting a war against time, biology, and the air you breathe. While it looks like a quiet slumber from the outside, your internal systems are navigating a treacherous landscape of shifting blood pressure and oxygen drops that can turn a normal night into a final goodbye. But here's the secret that doctors rarely explain. There is one specific biological glitch occurring at exactly 4 in the morning that acts as a silent trigger for these sudden departures. If you stay until the end, I will reveal what that trigger is and how you can prevent it. As we journey through our 7th decade, the body undergoes a series of subtle yet profound transformations that change the nature of how we rest. It is not just about getting older. It is about the resiliency gap that begins to widen every time you close your eyes. When you are young, your heart and brain communicate with lightning speed, adjusting to every toss and turn. But as the years stack up, this communication line starts to fray, like an old electrical wire. We often talk about healthy eating and exercise during the day, yet we ignore the 8 hours of vulnerability that happen in the dark. We believe that understanding these hidden mechanics is the first step toward reclaiming your longevity. You need to realize that your body's nighttime defense mechanisms are entirely different from your daytime ones, and the safety net is thinner than you think.
The primary culprit behind these nighttime events often starts with the heart's internal clock, which undergoes a massive shift as we age. In a younger person, the heart rate remains relatively stable, but in those over 70, the heart can experience sudden, erratic spikes during the transition between different sleep stages. This is particularly dangerous during the REM cycle, where the brain becomes highly active while the body remains paralyzed. During this phase, the demand for oxygen skyrockets, but an aging heart might not be able to pump fast enough to meet that demand. This creates a physiological bottleneck where the heart is essentially gasping for resources while you are dreaming. Most people assume the heart simply stops because it is tired, but it is actually because the electrical signals become scrambled in the silence of the night. This electrical chaos is the first major hurdle that many seniors face today.
Beyond the heart, we must look at the silent struggle for breath that defines the sleeping hours of millions of seniors across the globe. Obstructive sleep apnea is often dismissed as mere snoring, but for someone over 70, it is a life-threatening condition that puts an immense strain on the entire cardiovascular system. Every time a person stops breathing for a few seconds, their blood oxygen levels plummet, forcing the brain to send a frantic emergency signal to the heart to pump harder. Imagine doing this dozens of times every hour, every night, for years on end. Eventually, the heart muscle becomes exhausted from these constant, microscopic, near-death experiences. It is a slow-motion catastrophe that often culminates in a final, fatal event during the deepest part of the night. This is why many people who seem healthy during the day can suddenly pass away while resting. They simply ran out of fuel.
Another fascinating and frightening element is the phenomenon known as nocturnal dipping, or the lack thereof, in the elderly population. Typically, your blood pressure should drop by about 10 to 20% while you sleep to give your arteries a much-needed break from the pressure of daily life. However, as we age, many people lose this natural ability, meaning their blood pressure stays dangerously high even while they are supposedly resting. This constant pressure leads to a silent thickening of the heart walls, making the organ less efficient and more prone to sudden failure. When you combine high nighttime blood pressure with a sudden surge of adrenaline that occurs during a vivid dream, the result can be a catastrophic stroke or heart attack. It is essentially like redlining a car engine while it is sitting in the garage. Understanding how your blood pressure behaves at midnight is more important than you might imagine.
We also cannot ignore the role that modern medicine plays in this delicate balance, especially the nighttime cocktail of prescriptions many seniors take before bed. While these medications are designed to help with cholesterol, blood pressure, or pain, they can interact in ways that suppress the body's natural wake-up reflex. Normally, if your oxygen levels get too low, your brain triggers a cough or a sudden movement to wake you up so you can breathe. However, certain sedatives or heavy pain relievers can dull this survival instinct, making the brain forget to restart the breathing process. This creates a dangerous environment where the body is too relaxed to save itself from a minor physiological hiccup. It is a tragic irony that the very pills intended to prolong life can sometimes create the perfect conditions for a silent exit. This is why managing your evening routine with extreme precision is absolutely vital. There is a deeper, more invisible layer to this mystery, involving the way our immune systems behave during the late-night hours. Science has recently discovered that systemic inflammation peaks while we sleep, as the body attempts to repair tissues and fight off low-grade infections. In a younger body, this inflammation is managed easily, but in a senior, it can trigger what researchers call a cytokine storm on a very small, localized scale. This sudden influx of inflammatory markers can cause existing plaques in the arteries to rupture, leading to an immediate blockage that stops blood flow to the brain or heart. This is why someone can go to bed feeling completely fine and never wake up. The explosion happened internally without a single outward symptom. It is a reminder that aging is not just a visible process of wrinkles and gray hair, but a complex chemical transition that changes our blood. Finally, we must address the 4 a.m. secret I mentioned earlier, which is the cortisol surge that happens right before dawn. At this hour, the body naturally releases a burst of stress hormones to prepare you for waking up, which causes a sharp rise in heart rate and blood pressure. For a vulnerable heart, this is the most dangerous moment of the 24-hour cycle, often called the deadly dawn. To protect yourself, focus on consistent hydration and ensuring your sleeping environment is rich in fresh air. If you want to survive the coming years and ensure your heart stays strong through every single night, you know which button to click to join our community of proactive seniors. By hitting subscribe, you are joining the elite group of people who refuse to be victims of biology. Remember, knowledge is the only shield we have against the silent thief of the night.